are walking down the beautiful streets of Prague. And check it out. Across from us, we see the King's Court Hotel. I'd like to highlight baby Jesus sitting in the best seat in the house. Hi, baby Jesus. Happy birthday. No, just kidding. It's probably the penthouse suite or something up there. We start our tour today at the center of industry and trade in Prague. And why is Prague such a cool city? Well, Prague has actually never been destroyed by a war. So there's a bunch of old architecture here and a lot of culture and a lot of heritage. In front of us stands one of Prague's 250 churches. This one built in 843. Because Prague was home to so many different empires, there's a bunch of different architecture here. From Baroque to Romanticism to Neoclassical to Art Nouveau to basically everything. As we walk through the streets, even the streets have remained and kept up with a bunch of the historic time it was built. We see on the side pavement white stone and black stone, and this actually dates back to Roman times, where you would put white stone to reflect the moonlight at night, so you could see where you're going and see pedestrians. Now, I mentioned that Prague has been home to many different places just within the last 100 years alone. This was part of the Austria-Hungarian Empire, it was part of Germany, it was part of Yugoslavia, it was part of Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic, and now it's just part of, hey, what's this? What did I just find? You guys, we have just found the facade for the smallest house in Prague. This house is only 2.5 meters wide and historically was used as a brothel. So, now you know. And I suppose if you are a patron of a brothel of this size, having a smaller house may make your stuff look bigger. So hey, well done on the marketing. Now let's go explore and see what else is here. Okay, now the real reason I came up here was to see if this laundry is open, and it appears that it's not only closed, but super closed. So I shall continue my quests around Prague for an open laundry. This could be a fun exploration. I have another tourist tip for you. If you are walking a city and don't know where to walk, find or download the Red Bus tour app. Every big city has one, and on this map you can basically see all of the cool tourist spots. See, the Red Bus just came by this beautiful building here. As we walk down the streets, we can hear so many church bells. Now let's talk about the churches in Prague. As I mentioned, there's over 250 registered churches here, probably more. But the thing to note about this is that Prague is said to be one of the most atheistic or agnostic cities in Europe. And the likeliness of this is because it's been ruled by so many different states that people didn't want one more thing to have to go and obey the rules too. They needed some freedom in their life. I can approve of that. Christmas market. We will continue to explore all of this. Hey, look at that! People bigger than me right now. Why do I say that? Because I'm on a bench to get a better view. Christmas tree. I can't take photos of what I just saw, but I recorded it. And there's beautiful singing going on behind me. That was a church we found, you guys. As we enter the main square, we see more old stuff. Check out that. This building over here is beautiful. Now we can see everybody starting to set up for the lunch hour, the breakfast hour, whatever meal people eat. This building, though, is nice, and you can tell it's important because it's by a red man. Look at its prettiness. Compared to the other cities that we've been in so far this trip, Prague is hot. It's about 12, 13 degrees. There's only wind. The floor is wet. And it's kind of nice not to be cold for once. Yay! In fact, I'm too hot, but I don't have any clothes for warm weather, so we'll just be too hot. Woo! Single and ready to mingle. Kidding. So let's talk about the beer culture in Prague. Prague is known to have more pubs than any other city. Now, being a Londoner and someone who's lived in the UK for a significant amount of time of my adult life, I find this hard to believe. But we'll let them have it because, you know, as ranked one of the top 5 most traveled cities in Europe, they can have something. We have the Queen. So when I was here 25 years ago, all of these people weren't here. I kind of liked it back then better. But what we see in front of us is what is known to be the world's oldest astronomical clock. Now the story behind this clock goes that a really smart dude built it, and the king thought it was great. So, to stop the smart dude from rebuilding the clock in another city and to keep it all for himself, he invaded the dude's house and poked his eyeballs out. After the dude who built this couldn't see anymore, he came back to the clock and destroyed it. So it took them over 100 years to figure out how to reconstruct it. And the funny thing is that someone else did copy it because you can see an exact replica of this in South Korea. Karma is a bitch. One thing that we see more in Prague than I have in any other city in Europe is money exchanges. And while the euro is accepted here, they also use the Czech krona. And along with all of these money exchanges, I think it's a fantastic way to earn a commission on tourists who think that they need to exchange money into the local currency in order to operate. Now, most people will take euros if you pay them, just they charge a little bit more. You don't need to go to the money exchange. There are a bunch of scams in here where people do try to take advantage of you and exchange money for you on the street, and there's no reason for that at all. Don't be dumb. If you're smart, people don't scam you. Now, the other thing also that we'll note here is the amount of cannabis shops. While cannabis isn't necessarily legal in Czechia, again, tourism. So it's unclear if they actually sell it, if they sell a placebo, but I don't smell it, which means that if they do sell it, the cannabis in Czechia has no odor. So maybe they've developed a new form of THC. I think that's part of the deal, though. These buildings are very cool. And here on this random non-iconic street, we see a statue built for a dude, Dmitry Lagoev. Across from him, tall building with some cool stuff on the ceiling. And this little arch looks like a thing that we should go into. Oh, that's not gonna get old at all, is it? This is nice. So as we continue our walk in Prague, let's talk more about the beer culture. So beer here is a big thing. In fact, back 25 years ago, it's where I had my first beer. Long before they decided to card you at the supermarket door. Did they card us and we just didn't show them? Or did we buy the beer? No one will know! Thanks, Prague, for introducing me to beer. So beer here was so cheap for a long time, and the water wasn't great, and beer was cheaper than water. So now, in Prague, there is a rule that there has to be at least one drink cheaper than beer on the menu to hopefully stop people from drinking too much beer. Let's go find a new tour group to follow so I can learn more things and dictate them to the camera. There used to be all sorts of street vendors on this street. And where there were street vendors 2 decades ago, there's now a bunch of tourist shops, money exchanges, ice cream in the winter, candy shops. So we now are approaching something that the police have to attend to every now and again. People actually think that the statue we're coming up across is a real man hanging on for life or trying to de-life himself. It's not. This is one of the many famous statues in Prague, and it's a statue of Sigmund Freud. And as Sigmund Freud often fantasized and questioned his own death, that's what it is. And I think it's a beautiful piece of art. Meets psychology, meets philosophy, work. Enjoy!
The decoration and this type of art is super Eastern European. In Hungary, you see a lot of this, and likely this was built near the time whenever this was part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. Let's go take a look at this little statue though. It's kind of nice. Guys, let's talk about the word robotic. Did you know that you already know the ancient word? Yeah. The word robot originates from Czech. Oh no. It originates from robota, which means to work, automated. So yeah. That's why we took a photo of that. None of this used to be here. So long ago, the place where we're at now used to be outdoor air market, little vendors selling random things. And now it's this indoor. Something. But as we exit, we see what may be another gathering of people, so it must be important. We are entering the Charles Bridge, possibly made famous in the 1999 Tom Cruise thriller Mission Impossible 2, or possibly made famous in 1397. Nope, 1357. Whenever this King Charles guy, who's kind of a dick, opened the bridge. Let's go walk down it and learn more. So, Mr. King Charles, like many of the other people in this area, although loads of churches, was superstitious. And he decided that whenever he was going to open up this bridge, he would make sure it was open on the palindrome to give it good luck. And since it's been around for, 800 years, maybe it actually worked. The palindrome of the bridge was 135797531. And the only part I remember of that was the year 1357. The other was the date and the time that it had to remain closed. Along this bridge are many different statues. Some original, some have been rebuilt. And lots of people. So I mentioned that King Charles was superstitious. And one thing about the superstition is that while Prague is one of the most non-church going countries for the amount of church that it has, it is one of the most spiritual countries. So, meaning people doing voodoo or Buddhism or tarot or other forms of spirituality that's not centered around the Catholic Christian religion is all centered around here. So there's a bunch of different opportunities for people if they don't want to go into a church and listen to a choir. Although the choir that we heard earlier was pretty nice. Now, as we are exiting the St. Charles Bridge, we start to see some vendors popping up. In the high tourist season, there's usually vendors a lot on this area.
Leave it to me to find an entirely quiet area. And what you guys saw is one of the busiest areas I've seen. So why do so many people come here when it's nearly impossible to get here? There's really no direct flights to it from foreign countries. It's only flights here a couple of times a week from London, and most of the connections are from Frankfurt and other places. So, a little bit hard to get here. Yet it has no problem having loads of tourists come. And hey, look at that. We're currently on the hunt for a washroom. But then I saw this puerta that's abierto, so I had to come in. Whoa, it's pretty cool. I wonder if it's an active church. It is. Let's go get some Christmas church. Christmas shirt smells so good. I can't show you what I saw or smelled, but you have to believe me. Okay, the quest for Albania continues. Estonia! And now we are approaching something that has changed over the times. And one thing I found very interesting about this the first time I saw it when I came to Prague 25 years ago, was that there was art in resistance. See, I came here shortly after the Iron Curtain dropped, and I found it interesting that people were expressing themselves in a very dark time. So, what appears behind me is the Lenin Wall. And this is not to be confused with the former Soviet ruler, Lenin, but the artist known as John Lennon. And we enter more people. Now, over the years, this has been decorated and redecorated with messages of hope and freedom on here. Originally inspired by a lot of John Lennon's music.
Some cities we get horses, in this city we get speedy bus. What? I didn't see you. I suppose though, if I'm going to get hit by a car, getting hit by an ambulance would be the best type of car. Because at least then I'd get first aid. So the Prague Castle, which we see here, is said to be one of the biggest castles in the world. I have been inside that castle before, and we're not going in it today because it's very well done and very well polished. It's very ornate, and it makes me sad that there's so much wealth put into the castle, and there is so much disparity of wealth on the streets where people actually could, you know. We're still hunting for the washroom, by the way. I think if I were to create any sort of tourist business in a country, it would be something at least this big. So like Prague, maybe Budapest. I'd create a self-cleaning public washroom and charge everybody a little bit more than necessary to go in there. But I think I'd make a lot of money.
Find the coolest things sometimes. They look like they know where they're going. Let's see where they're going. It's an adventure, you guys. Yay. Oh. We're going in a circle. Bye, guys. You can have my number.
Too many people. Let's go run away from them. So I still think Christmas church in that church would be the coolest. But apparently millions of people also think it too. So in terms of size, Prague is as big as Warsaw. So there's about 1.6 million people that live here in the city limits. Although the thing that differentiates Prague from Warsaw is that this feels way more Eastern European than Warsaw does, even though Warsaw is significantly more. There's been a lot of the city that still holds its old heritage, and a lot of the roads are still done in this nice brick. And If I didn't know the difference, I think I was in Budapest.
So one thing that you may have seen in the videos so far around here is that there is a bunch of stuff in English. And I want to highlight that that's not how it was 2 decades ago. You see, 2 decades ago you had to have a translator to walk you around because it was only Czech that was spoken here. But one thing that's unique about Czechia is that they're no stranger to changing their language. See, whenever this was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and then changing it back to Germany, who occupied it for a long time, German was really the only language that was spoken here. Tiny little car. And so after Germany left, then the language switched more back into Czech. So, you know, in 20, 30 years. And then in the last 20 years, you see a lot more English to cater towards tourism and towards a more international crowd. So I find it really cool that a country can adopt so quickly to changing a language while still retaining the culture. Hi, doggy. Doggy. Hi, doggy. Hi. That dog is very happy. All around Prague, you see a series of different trolley cars. This one in front of me is probably about 40 years old. Nothing's been done. Did you know that Prague is the city that hosts the oldest tramway system? Yeah. So if you ever want to get around Prague, just buy a tram car and you don't have to walk. Or if you're like me and you want to walk, you could walk. But the tramway is pretty cool here and it works out really well. Engineering! As you can see, we're on another bridge. So, the thing interesting about Prague is that there's a 1-to-1 bridge to church ratio. Yes, there's over 250 bridges in this city. So, it's likely that if you're trying to meet someone, you'll either meet on a bridge or in a church. Because, you know, there's a lot of both of them. We can see across from us the famous St. Charles Bridge. You see me. If you get sick of being on a bridge, you can walk to this park and run around. Or you can go for a swim in this river. Pro tip, if you travel here, make sure to push the button. Many people are just waiting for it to turn, and they needed me to rescue them. There's even a photo. How to use it. Guys, don't be silly. Read the photo. Hi, Merry Christmas! So, the good news is that I found a laundromat. The bad news is that their coin machine is broken. So now I'm coin shopping around town. No one has enough coins that I use. So I'm slowly breaking money and having delicious drinks at it. Fun. Yay, adventure. Well, I found enough coin, maybe, for the wash. And since I travel with only the pants I need, I took the pants off my leg, because those need to be washed. So we'll see if I can wear the clothes. I think the other thing I would do if I were to make a lot of money in Prague would be to have a laundry that takes credit card, but that charges a little bit more. Because while I've been in here, there have been about 4 of the people who come in, and they see it's cash and then they leave. So if it was full service laundry, like it was in Sardinia, that's the way to make money. Well, you guys, I have no pants on. Why don't I have pants on? Because there's 4 people in line for the one dryer. And you know, you do what you gotta do. So there's 2 of us left. I'm the last one in line. I hope they don't close the laundry before my clothes are done, but I went to the store to go get me and the other gentleman waiting a beer. Because you know, Merry Christmas cheer, even if you don't celebrate it. You guys, look! I got pants back on. I got into the laundry finally. It took forever. Oh yeah, you can probably tell it's dark. So unlike the countries that we've been in, I forget if I've told you, but Prague is at the same parallel as Vancouver. So it stays light until like 5 p.m. in the winter, which is delightful. So it's after 5 p.m., but it's really nice because this is not 2 p.m. anymore. So now that I have pants on, my other clothes are about 40% dry. I'm gonna go back to the hotel, dry them, and then we'll see what happens after that. Tomorrow I've got an early flight, which is weird because it's been a long time since I've flown in an airplane. I'm not looking forward to it, but you know, c'est la vie. Pray à manger. Et bon voyage et bon courage. Ciao.